Hi guys, my name is Emma and welcome back to my channel. So we've got a slightly different setup today. I am on the floor in my living room. I just really wasn't feeling up for my normal usual filming setup. So I'm chilling here with my rabbits. I've got both of them down on the floor next to me. Not that they're in shot. One of them's playing with the camera tripod. So you may see me playing with them today as well. But basically today I'm talking to you about books that I have on my TBR shelves that intimidate the crap out of me right now. This I saw the wonderful Thoughts on Tomes Sam do a couple of weeks back, maybe even a month back now. It's been a while since I filmed anything, and I thought that is such a brilliant video idea. I have so many books that I just haven't started yet because the concept of reading them totally freaks me out, and I thought I'd share them with you. And I realised that for me, intimidating books fall into 4 major categories, and I have a few examples of each category. So the first one, the obvious thing that is really intimidating, is just a book that is very, very long. So I have a few beefy tomes on my shelves that I do need to get around to starting, and just currently right now the idea of committing myself to something that is that long is just, it's really freaky. I definitely noticed with that I have a bigger problem starting classics when they are long in comparison to more of your conventional fiction or modern day fiction, but it still kind of covers both of those. So I have 3 super long books here that I know I will eventually get around to reading, but right now I can't even begin to fathom facing them. So the first one is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace-Thackeray. This was on my Classics of 2019 TBR, which I desperately wanted to get to based off of a snippet of the film that I saw, but I didn't realise before buying it just how huge it was. I think this is around 600, oh no, 800 pages, good lord. I'm now even more freaked out by it. This is 800 pages worth of classic, and I just don't know whether I can commit to that right now. On a similar vein, we have Stephen King's Under the Dome. Stephen King is known for writing fairly long, lengthy books, and also for his meandering plot style. I've read a few of his in the past. I think I read Lizzie's story or Lizzie's story, and that one took ages to get to where it was going, and whilst I enjoyed it, I do find Stephen King is a bit hit and miss for me, so that fact makes me less inclined to go for this one, because I haven't always liked his stuff, and this is so big. What if I don't enjoy this one? I'm signing myself for such a long time to read it. This one is, again, about 800 pages. Yeah, about 850. And then the final one, the absolute beast, the terror that is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Again, it was a New Year's resolution of mine to try and read this in 2019. I did start it back in February. I got about 100 pages through, and it's just, it's intimidating. There are so many characters in this book that I got, like I said, about 100 pages in, and we were still meeting new people and still establishing new relationships. And why is everybody called about 7 different names? Jesus, man, just what is happening in this thing? And so because of that, I kind of kept putting off reading it and kept putting it off and kept putting it off, and I kept not picking it back up. And then I think last month I officially took it off my reading list for Goodreads and marked it as DNF'd because I'm not reading it. I haven't finished it, and I think I need to fully restart it now because I don't remember who anybody's called. So this one scares the bejeebers out of me, the concept of reading it. So those are my long books that are scary, but I also have a collection of what I consider to be books that are intimidating because of their writing style. This can be either that the author is doing something kind of quirky and interesting, or is trying something stylistically that may or may not pay off, and basically I just think I need to be in the right frame of mind to approach a book like that. But that right frame of mind just seems to not ever be coming along, and I think it's because I'm scared of what I'm going to find. So again, I've got 3 examples of that for you. Book 1 is Dark Eden by Chris Beckett. This is something to do with being in the family of, living in the Garden of Eden, your descendants directly from Adam and Eve, and it just has it just has a weird vibe to it. Reading the blurb, it just gives off this really strange kind of aura, and I bought this book about a year ago now, and I keep meaning to pick it up, and it's survived several unhauls because I think it is going to be really interesting, but I think I need to just be in the right frame of mind for it, and I don't really know what that frame of mind is because this is just weird and kind of spooks me a bit, so it just keeps languishing on my TBR shelf. Then we have one that I have actually talked about on this channel before a few times, and that is Silver Bullets by Elma Mendoza. This one just doesn't have any speech marks in it, so direct speech is not like marked in any particular way, and I found that really jarring when I first started trying to read it. And I know it will be the kind of thing that, like, give it a couple of, you know, give it 50 pages or so, I will have that format down and I will be fine to read it. And I think it's supposed to be amazing. He's considered the godfather of narco lit. He is one of Mexico's biggest names in like kind of crime literature. It's very, very well received and highly regarded, but the lack of speech marks just confuses my brain right now. So I've kind of freaked myself out about this one. And then the final one is Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. This was the winner of the Man Booker Prize in 2017, I'm pretty darn sure. And the big thing that's weird about this one is interspersed between, like, again, it's kind of doing weird things structurally speaking. There are sections which are snippets about, like, they're snippets taken from other books which are all about Abraham Lincoln, and they are used to tell part of the story. And I listened to this originally on audiobook, like maybe half an hour of it, and I honestly thought maybe I was having a stroke, or like something had gone horrendously wrong with my Audible account, because the thing made absolutely no sense. And again, I know once I kind of sit down and sink into it, I'm sure it'll be fine. I've read freaky things before. I'm not a stranger to the weird format of writing, and you know, when authors play with the narrative form or whatever, but I don't want to work that hard right now in my reading, and I've kind of bigged this thing up to being much more dramatic than I think it actually is. So I'm really intimidated by it. I keep skipping over it. It's been on several TBRs and I haven't got around to it yet, because every time I look at it I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm a bit too tired tonight. I think my brain needs to be more awake, and it's just an excuse to not pick it up. Okay, then we have a collection of books that I would consider to be intimidating because of the kind of level of commitment that they represent. And for me, this is basically high fantasy. My big thing about high fantasy is it's such a time sink and a time commitment, and I talked about this I think in my bookish buzzwords tag, where I haven't done a lot of the major high fantasy series because the books are huge, the amount of world building you have to learn is huge, and they're always like book 1 out of 12 in a series, and I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to jump on that train and go right with you, and like, that just seems like such a huge commitment. And again, there's absolutely no reason why as a reader I couldn't stop halfway through, or stop after book 1, or stop wherever I wanted to. I've no problem with abandoning series, but I just don't like the idea of committing so much time and energy and that mental space to understand somebody's world if I don't think I'm going to continue all the way through. So the 3 that I currently have on my shelves that represent like big world building jumps are Patrick Rothfuss's, The Name of the Wind, The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, and The Left Hand of God by Paul Hoffman. And all 3 of them are book 1 of a series in some form of high fantasy that I am not going to touch anytime soon, because I'm intimidated. There's going to be like its whole lore and magic system, and oh my god, there's going to be so many names that are spelt weird to learn. Pretty sure the guy in The Name of the Wind is called something like Kvoth. That's not a name. Call him Dave. What are you doing to us, Patrick? Like, stop making things intimidating. Chill it. Everybody just needs to chill out a bit. And then my final section of intimidating books are books that are on non-fiction, which I normally would really enjoy. I love non-fiction, but I have now spooked myself about the topic, and whether that be because of the level of like detail that I think is in it, or the amount of mental energy it's going to take. And I actually had like a good 7 or 8 of these that I could have picked, but I grabbed the 2 that I feel like I've been putting off the most, and that is The Romanovs by Simon Serb Montefiore. Can't read that text at all, and this is covering the Romanov family and Romanov kind of lineage in Russia, but it's huge, it's big, it's got very small text. It's very dense text. Like, look at that. That's a beast. I've just freaked myself out. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. I'm sure I'm going to love it. It comes ridiculously highly recommended from the store that I bought it from. I've just completely psyched myself out of that book, and I need to get over it. And then one that has been on my list for, oh my god, so long, I actually thought I'd read it the other day. I told my mate Harry that I'd finished this book, and I was convinced I had. And then I actually looked back at it and was like, I haven't read that one, and nor have I read the sequel, and I was so convinced I'd read both of them. So sorry Harry, I lied to you the other day when we were at the Natural History Museum. I've not read this. That's Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. It's featured on so many of my TBRs. Girl, when are you just going to get around to this damn thing? I got about halfway through. I don't know if you can see that was where I got to now, well over a year ago, looking at 18 months ago, and basically I put it down and then left it for too long. I kind of lost where I was, and I think one of the major reasons that I've intimidated myself about this is I'm really worried that that's going to happen again. So in my head this is a massive time commitment, and also because I read so much of it, like I was over 50% of the way through, to be honest. That's a decent chunk of the way through. That represents such a like lost time for me that I'm really worried that I'm going to be bored at the beginning because I've already read those bits, but then if I try and skip to where I was, I will lose my place, and like the whole thing has just become so much more of a drama in my head than it needs to be. And it's stupid, man, because they're just books. Like, they shouldn't be scary. It's just words on paper. Like, chill out and just read it. There's no expectations or pressure. I just really need to calm down about all of this. But those are some books on my TBR shelves that are currently intimidating and that my eyes breeze over very quickly when looking for what my next read is going to be, because I don't want to focus on them, because I get freaked out at the thought of reading that. So yeah, these are my thoughts on some of my books. Thank you, Sam, for the inspiration for this video. I really liked her one, so I've linked it down below in the description. Totally go check it out. Her channel is amazing. Of course it is. She's one of the big dogs of booktube. And that is pretty much it from me. Have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye guys.